Here in the studio to talk about safety, affordable housing, business in the Castro District, Supervisor for District 8, Rafael Mandelman. Thank you so much, Rafael, for being here today.
Sure.
A lot of businesses are closing the doors for good in the Castro area. And I noticed it's not only because of the high rent, but also the traffic, people traffic as well.
I hear from merchants that traffic is down. I think tourism is down in the city. People's behavior is changing around buying things online and having food delivered to their homes rather than going out to restaurants. And then I think there are a lot of other challenges for restaurants and other small businesses in San Francisco, and particularly in the Castro. I think our street conditions and the homelessness crisis definitely makes life harder for small businesses. I hear from folks every day about people who are high and psychotic, inebriated, coming into their stores, giving their customers a hard time, giving them a hard time.
Whenever you see somebody who is in need, has some special needs, mental ill, or whatever the reason is, I think society should be able to provide care for that individual. But as member of a society too, it's my right to have clean streets as well, right?
Absolutely.
And what can we do? What can be done to achieve that?
People are really talking past each other because, on one camp, there's a whole bunch of people who say we aren't doing enough around housing and services for very poor people. And they are absolutely right. This country does not do nearly enough, and particularly in this area that's become so wealthy. California is the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world, and yet we have these incredible social gaps and distance between the wealthiest and the poorest. So there's a whole set of folks who are very intent upon having that conversation about getting us to do more around housing for very poor people and services, and I think they're right. But there's also another set of folks who are saying, yes, however we may feel, and many of those people agree we need more services and supports, I am tired of walking out my door every day and seeing an encampment there, or being woken up in the middle of the night by people fighting because there's a drug transaction going on outside my door, and I shouldn't have to live like this, and we shouldn't have to live like this. And I think they're right too. And unfortunately, in San Francisco, these two sets of people are completely talking past each other. And I don't know, I'm sure you heard about the Boulder situation on Clinton Park. I think that's a very good example where the people over here who are saying more housing and services, some of them were really offended that these people would be trying to change the built environment to reduce some of the criminal activity happening outside their doors. And it's really, they're kind of, as I said, talking past each other. And that's a real challenge for formulating policy in San Francisco.
So affordable housing, which is another huge topic here in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco. I've been talking to many people, especially family, and whenever the topic affordable house comes up, and the question is, okay, we need to build more affordable housing, but what about the families? Because, what else can be done as well.
I mean, I think a lot of people recognize that we need to build housing at all levels. We've created a ton of jobs in the Bay Area over the last 10 years, but only a fraction of the housing for those jobs. And of course, economics say that, as you increase demand but you don't increase supply, prices are going to go up. And that is what has happened. And prices have gone up at all levels. Now, I don't think that's something that we can fix overnight, but I do think slowly the state and local governments are trying to get more housing at all levels built. I believe we need to particularly focus on housing for low-income folks, which cannot be built without subsidies. And so I'm very excited that on the ballot this fall is Proposition A, which is a $600 million bond for lots of different kinds of affordable housing, some for lower income families, some for seniors. We have a tremendous challenge around people who are aging in the city, may have been in a rent-controlled unit for most of their lives and are fearful that as they get older, particularly if they get evicted, there's nothing for them here. And so we need to have places where people can continue to age and live out their lives in San Francisco. That $600 million sounds like a lot, is actually not enough to meet all of our housing needs, but it gets us a few thousand units closer to the goal, and we just have to keep pushing.
And how affordable those affordable houses are?
It varies. And one of the things that we recognized in this year's budget is that even our affordable housing is unaffordable to a lot of people. So if you need to have income of $30,000 or $50,000 or $80,000 a year to afford an affordable unit, that may not be affordable to you.
Exactly.
And so every year, the city is increasing the amount of money we put into subsidies, not just to create the units, but to help the people who qualify for those units to be able to afford even the reduced rent, because that's a lot for people.
I mean, you mentioned we created many jobs, but a lot of people, especially in retail, they have to have 1, 2, 3 jobs, and they cannot afford to live in San Francisco.
That's meaning, and that goes back to the problem that a lot of small businesses are having, because if you go to the small businesses in the Castro and you ask the people who work in those stores, where do you live? Most of them no longer live in San Francisco. They are commuting in, and so they have to be paid a wage that is enough to afford to live somewhere that is not San Francisco, but still ridiculously expensive, and also to afford the transportation costs into San Francisco. So, points to a whole lot of issues. We need to improve our regional transportation. We need more housing for workforce, all those things.
You were at the City College. You were a board member for many years. What do you think? What's your opinion on building affordable housing for teachers? I mean, on one hand, it's fair, but also shouldn't the teachers be paid more to decide, to have the decision where they should be living or not?
It's a yes and yes. So when I was on the City College board, I strongly supported building on the Balboa Reservoir, particularly building units that would be affordable, not just to City College faculty, but to the other staff who work there. Because increasingly, although we should be dramatically increasing their wages to be able to live in San Francisco, for an institution like City College or for San Francisco Unified School District, even though they are increasing wages, they are not increasing wages or able to increase wages to keep up with the market. And so in that environment, sometimes the dollar can go further if it's invested into permanent housing for their workforce. So as a member of the Board of Supervisors, I've tried to get more money going from our county general fund over to the school district so that they can increase wages for faculty and other staff. But even with increased funding, we're still so far away from being able to pay teachers a wage that would allow them to live in housing in San Francisco that we have to do both.
What's going to happen on 2020 elections, which is a big mark question?
The whole country, the whole world, I think is watching this train wreck that is the American presidency, and many of us cannot wait for this to end. It cannot end soon enough. I shared Speaker Pelosi's concern about going forward with an impeachment inquiry that we know the 40% of the public that loves Donald Trump is not going to support. But the reality is he has made it so clear that he is engaged in illegal activity from the 2016 election, engagement with Russia, the way he's behaved in office, the violations of the Emoluments Clause, and now this very clear use of American power to coerce other governments into investigating his domestic political opponents. If these are not impeachable offenses, I cannot imagine what are.
Thank you so much for being here, Rafael.
Thank you.
Finally, we got this.
I'm sorry I'm so hard.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. I know you're busy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. If you have any suggestions, comments, send us an email to tips@newsupnow.com. It's right here, tips@newsupnow.com. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.